An absolute thriller in Happy Valley. We're in double overtime. Dante Moore with the touchdown to Gary Bryant Jr. One play and a touchdown. The two-point conversion was picked off. Speaking of picked off, very next play, Drew Aller picked by Dylan Thieneman, the Purdue transfer, beating Penn State 30-24 in double overtime. That was the only turnover of the game right there. Right there. And it ends in heartbreak for Penn State. They had won 6 straight whiteout games. James Franklin trying to shed this narrative. He can't win the big game. He was oh so close. They were down in this game 17-3. Drew Aller with a fantastic drive to tie it up, and then throws the interception in double overtime, and Oregon wins it on the road. Back here in studio, former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt, former Ohio State quarterback and national champion Cardale Jones. Look, this game was bonkers. It was 3-3 at halftime, and then it's 17-3, and then here comes Penn State. Your reaction to how the game played out, because that was absolutely wild. We're thinking, hey, Penn State's going to win this game. They're going to come back. They're going to erase the narrative. Drew Aller's going to have this huge moment. And then it's the Oregon defense in the end.
We saw 3 different games. We saw a defensive slugfest in the first half, and then we saw Oregon look like the better team in the middle part of the ball game. Dante Moore and company, the offense was moving up and down the field but stalling in the red zone. Then they started to find pay dirt. And then we saw Penn State look like the team that wore down Oregon in the fourth quarter and in overtime. It's like, well, Penn State's going to win this ball game now because Drew Aller caught fire. The run game started popping. They couldn't tackle Singleton nor Kaytron Allen. And I was like, man, Oregon really tried their best, but they wore down. It looked like James Franklin was going to get his first win in a long time over a top-ranked team, and it just didn't happen, Cardale.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you look at the situation here. I think now we start have to put some of that blame on, unfortunately, the quarterback position and tied to some of these woes that James Franklin has been having against these top opponents. Because once again, not even completing over 15 passes this game, and then clearly the interception. But you look at drives that Drew Aller played well. The 2 drives in the second half that really put them in score position. Still had 2 touchdowns. Why can't you do that more often? Right. That's the frustrating part with guys like this. Clearly, he has the talent, he has the ability, he has the playmakers around him. But at the biggest moments, he seemed to have that lapse of judgment. You go back to last year in the College Football Playoffs versus Notre Dame, going on a game-winning potential drive, interception, and going on a game-winning potential drive here. All they got to do is get in the end zone. And, unfortunately, in that 2-point conversion situation with the second overtime, they'd have been forced to go for a 2, and the field goal wouldn't have done them any justice. But you're in so many critical and prime positions as a quarterback that you want to be in that you say you that guy. Last possession, chance to win it, and the ball is in your hand. What you going to do? And unfortunately, James Franklin, Drew Aller, and this Penn State offense, their track record speak for themselves. They just cannot get it done in those big situations.
Take me through that final play. What did you see? Was it him trying to force it, or was it just Dylan Thieneman, the defensive back there, making a play?
I think the defensive back made a great play. I think Drew tried to do a good job of getting the ball up and down in a tight window on the sideline. The window of that opportunity was definitely there, but he definitely needed more arc on that ball. And I think at that point of the game, Drew Aller and also Dante Moore was very heavily involved in the run game, especially in the second half. And I think you look at Dante Moore interception where he didn't get the ball up and over the defensive lineman who dropped into coverage. And then on the flip side as well, that can be a little bit fatigued. That can be, it's a long game wearing down on you a little bit. So understand what Drew was trying to go for the ball, but lack of execution, which ultimately cost him the game.
So unfortunate, because when you think about how that play developed, it was so perfect because it's a quick hitter. But when you look at it, it kind of wasn't going to work out either way. Either it was going to get picked short underneath, which it did, or the receiver was going to get laid out as the ball got there. And I think that also would have made an effect on, the play as well. So right. The decision-making is questionable there. But also, when you look at how he played up until that point, it's like, man, you were playing well. You were using your legs. You had a beautiful, deep, arcing throw for a touchdown to get that offense jump-started. But like Cardale said, in these critical moments, why do you come up small? And that's just not on a quarterback, but the coach as well, even a play caller. Remember they called that timeout on the other side of the 2-minute warning. We were like, well, wait, why would you lose? Now you lose your advantage. So everyone just kind of comes up small in these high-leverage situations.
Well, unfortunately for Penn State, it's another great effort that's ruined in the end, right? I mean, you see Drew Aller lead this 15-play, 62-yard drive to tie it up. He gets the first down, makes a huge play. The running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, are working their tails off all night long, and they don't get rewarded with a victory because of one mistake at the end of the game. And the margins for error are so razor thin in games like this. This is a top 10 matchup, and you got defenses that are studying you week in and week out. For Drew Aller, I mean, this is tough to swallow here. This is another tough game when you had a chance to sort of separate yourself and make a moment for yourself. In the end, you just don't meet the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is what I love about college football and football in particular. It only could be one winner. And the great part about college football and the new structure now is that this one loss will not hurt Penn State in the long run. We can potentially see this team match up again in the Big Ten championship game or the college football playoffs. That's how good both teams still is. We was kind of shocked about, okay, how is this real matchup is going to go? Neither team has been tested the way each is going to test each other for 4 quarters. But one thing you can't deny, these are still 2 of the top teams in the Big Ten and definitely 2 of the top 12 teams in the whole college football playoffs.
When you look at Dante Moore on the other side and what he showed up and showed the world in his ball game, like he was ready for the moment from start to finish. You talk about how Aller got hot in the 4th quarter and overtime. Well, Dante Moore did that from start to the end of the ball game. He was leading his team up and down the field, made some critical throws in certain situations, also was judicious when he was going to take off and run with the football, and I thought his legs helped keep some drives alive. So when you look at this from their perspective, it's like, okay, well, we got a guy now that we could trust in the postseason. I know I have jokingly said this last year, that the college football playoff was big for Penn State because they could lose a big game and kind of bypass everybody and get to the playoffs, which happened last year. This is another situation where they could probably avoid the Big Ten championship game, still jump into the college football playoff, and they won 2 games last year. Let's see if they learn from this moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State has another big one looming against Ohio State at the first day of November. So you'd hope that maybe they could figure out a way to get this win in this game. But hey, shouts to Oregon. You know, like Jim Knowles, he did his best he could there defensively. It was unfortunately, again, the offense let you down if you're the Nittany Lions.
Oregon played a complete game, though.
They did.
They played a complete game.
They did. They got absolutely punished at the line of scrimmage a lot against those running backs on this night, and they just were able to absorb it, and they had that 17-3 lead. They end up winning in double overtime. Time now for the player profiles presented by Marriott Bonvoy. Over 30 hotel brands for every kind of fan. All right, so we're talking about your outstanding performer. Couple guys you could choose from, but it's probably one guy that stands out to you, Emory.
I mean, Dante Moore, 29 of 39, 248, 3 touchdowns, 35-yard rushing. And then a lot of those rushing yards, you know, the sacks kind of take some of that away. But it was when he chose to run and pick up yards with his legs and getting down before he took a big hit. But the passing and efficiency in which he threw the football was outstanding. And talk about someone that didn't shrink in a moment. For me, it was Dante Moore.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on that. Dante Moore is definitely my player of the game and really my player of the week. Penn State, Oregon was the biggest matchup of all the college football this weekend, and especially going into that environment, your real, true first road game environment as a starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, and you play your game. No turnovers, a 2-point conversion interception don't count, but no turnovers. And then you look at the most critical time of the game for Oregon. Who do they keep the ball in whose hands? In the running game. Dante Moore right up the middle for a first down, and then they go on to score 2 plays later. He's a complete difference maker and a game changer, and to me, he's starting to become a game wrecker because with a guy like that who's going to protect the football, who's going to always make the right decision and can get it done in the run game, he is a guy that is going to keep defensive coordinators up at night.
29 of 39, 248, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and Oregon gets the win, and that means number 3 goes down, Penn State. Number 4, LSU goes down. Number 5, Georgia goes down at the hands of Alabama. That was Player Profiles presented by Marriott Bonvoy, over 30 hotel brands for every kind of fan. Emory Hunt, Cardale Jones here on CBS Sports HQ as you take a look at the quarterback comparison in Happy Valley. Drew Aller, made timely throws. The worst throw was the last one, picked off by Dylan Thieneman, and Dante Moore, and the Ducks will head home with a perfect record as they go into Happy Valley and snap that streak of 6 straight wins for Penn State and Whiteout games. For Oregon, their streak continues. They've now won 23 straight regular season games.